If y'all remember, last month I did a live stream talking about Caitlin Clark. It was actually a Triple P live stream that I did. And in that live stream, I mentioned something called the Participation Award, where I truly believe that award really is something that was put together and orchestrated by PC women like that Soccer Mom Brigade. You can't tell me that's not something that is not existing. For those of y'all who don't understand the Participation Award, it's just basically awarding people after they've lost something, no matter how many times they may have competed, just to say, oh, we're giving them something. Now, keep in mind, last year when Caitlin Clark played against LSU, Jill Biden, the First Lady, tried to extend an invitation to the team to come to the White House after they lost in the championship to LSU. And people got on her head about that to the point they ended up rescinding it. It almost got to the point where LSU almost did not go to the White House because it's like, no, we're not about to share our victory. And why should they? They shouldn't have to because they didn't win. Fast forward to a year later, they play against South Carolina, in which they lost again. Well, she ended up losing again. So she's lost twice. She's lost twice where it should have counted. So she's basically leaving the collegiate realm to go into the WNBA as a two-time non-winning champion. Meanwhile, the team they just lost to, Dawn Staley, has won 3 titles as the coach and had a 38-0 season with a new roster. Angel Reese has 1 ring against them, playing with LSU, and she's getting all types of brand deals, and 9 times out of 10 she's going to enter into the draft as well. Now they're putting a lot of hype around Caitlin Clark, where they're saying she's going to be the #1 draft pick, most likely to the Indiana Fever in the WNBA draft. Now, of course, by the time y'all see this video, the draft for the WNBA would have been already happened, so she will already have been drafted by that time. Well, the Participation Award thing strikes yet again, because this screenshot you see is from an episode of SNL that aired on April 13, 2024, where Michael Shea, who you see there on the left, is doing a skit that he's known for doing. I don't really watch SNL like that, but I think it's like that new skit that they usually do where they just cover different things that come covered throughout the week and they just make fun of it. And then Caitlin Clark just popped up on there. I don't think she was hosting SNL that night. I don't believe so. But she was there, and it's like, okay, if no one believes by this point that this woman does not have a machine behind her after she's lost twice, not 1 ring, not 1 championship, then I have a bridge to sell you in San Francisco for the free ski. You cannot tell me that she does not have a machine that is pushing her to literally put her out there and keep her out there as much as they possibly can. When I was looking on X, people were saying, but wait a minute, she lost. Why not invite the people who won onto the show, or at least give maybe at least Dawn Staley some kind of a spotlight? That's because they don't like her. And I kept seeing things like, from mainly white people, the ones who endorse a good participation award because they're the ones that created it. Oh, she's more marketable. Oh, she's this. Oh, she's that. She has these stats. She has these stats. But when we bring up that, does she have a ring? Then they go past that and say, yeah, but, and you know what I always say, what comes after the but? The BS. And that's all they could say is BS behind it. All I said is this. When she goes to the WNBA and she goes to compete, against these professional women, if she goes to Indiana, I wonder how much they're going to be behind her then. And that's a question I posed when I was doing the live stream talking about her a couple weeks ago. How much support are they going to give her then? Now, keep this in mind. Angel Reese was a big name and still is a big name last year when they won. But they made it where it was a controversial thing surrounding her. They kept her in a cloud of controversy while keeping Caitlin Clark out of it. Even though the controversy came when the media tried to make something out of nothing involving those two. So they're basically trying to say that Angel Reese, while she is beloved by a sector of people, she's not as marketable, quote unquote, as a Caitlin Clark. Gee, I wonder why. Same thing with Dawn Staley. They had to try to dirty up Dawn Staley's name even though she's broken records. But again, black head coach. Gee, I wonder why. I don't know what's wrong with me today. I'm mincing my words. That usually doesn't happen. At least not intentionally. But I see exactly what it is that they're doing. Many people do. Even they do. The supporters do. But this can actually go beyond just Caitlin Clark. I remember, I think I had mentioned it in one of my videos or in a live stream where they're trying to restructure the NBA or certain rules or something like that to make it almost seem like European based. Now, the reason why I say that is because if you remember how a lot of black teams go, like when they compete in the Olympics, like the US teams, most of the team is black. And they're playing against a lot of European based teams, which are predominantly white. And notice how the US teams pretty much always wins. I think it was one instance where they lost and they barely, and it wasn't even like a blowout. They're trying to restructure everything because they're saying they're becoming they're too much now. They said we've had enough. We're trying to go back and rewrite everything. I'm sorry, rewrite. Again, I'm messing up. I don't know what's wrong with me. Basically try to dumb it down so it could secure the comfort levels of others. Because that's the only way that a person like Caitlin Clark consistently gets propped up like that. I mean, the fact that she lost twice, that now you're going to have to question this. Will she be able to go to the WNBA and get into a WNBA championship and win? Because at this point, if she can't even deliver on that, then she's going to be considered a bust. Let me say that again. If Caitlin Clark goes into the WNBA, not even if, because she's going to, when she goes into the WNBA and cannot deliver at least one championship with the team she goes to, she's going to be considered a bust. Because then that means she's a 3-time loser. Twice in college and once in the WNBA. That's the thing a lot of people don't even bring up. So again, I wonder how many people are going to be on her side and support her after this or after that, or if that even occurs. And of course, people keep bringing up, oh, she's a good ball player and all this and other stuff like that. Sure, fine, whatever. But the question still remains, did she win? Did she win a ring? Did she win a championship? Did she win when it counted? No, she didn't. 2 times in a row. So they can try to do all of the little whatever it is that they're trying to do to try to comfort that, but it is what it is. And now people are going to be looking at Caitlin like, okay, at first we was like, okay, that's the media that's propping you and putting this stuff out there because the mainstream media is known to do that. But then people are going to start to question how much of this is she buying into? How much of it is she going along with it? And one can argue and say that she's in the bag. She's definitely on the Rolodex for sure. She's probably enjoying this right now. But all I'm going to say is this. Caitlin Clark, when she gets to the WNBA, she's going to have to deliver. Because again, the machine is still behind her. And what kills me now is knowing that even if she lost, or didn't get to the point where she needed to be with the WNBA, they're still going to do the same thing with her in the WNBA that they did with her when she was in college, which is still prop her up as being a person who almost won. It's gotten to that point where people who almost win are more popular than those who do win. I kept seeing those comments too. No one's thinking about South Carolina. Who remembers who they are? I can't even name one of them people, but I know Caitlin Clark. Gee, I wonder how you know Caitlin Clark. You didn't even know Caitlin Clark before last year. And it took a quote unquote manufactured beef that the lamestream media concocted with her going against Angel Reese for you to know who, number one, who even both of them were. And then they kept it going a year later, especially back in around January of this time, and they kept going. And I'm like, okay, because they wanted that rematch between her and LSU. They got it, LSU lost. And I was like, okay, they got to get past UConn. They beat UConn, okay, now let's see if you can get past South Carolina. Didn't get it. And what did you see headlines being posted up like the next day? All over CNN and all these sports networks talking about her as if she and her team won. You had to dig to find stuff about Dawn Staley and USC. But with her, it was plastered everywhere. They're going to try their best to keep her out there for us to see, because they are trying their hardest to make her the face. In some publications, they've already started calling her the face of female basketball, whether on a collegiate and soon to be on a professional level. And she hasn't even played one WNBA game yet. And remember, in the first season, she might not even play that much as a rookie, but they probably gonna push her to be out there, and people gonna be watching. People gonna be watching to see what she does. Trust and believe, eyes will be there. I don't know how many eyes, but they will be there. So, just something to really think about when it comes to this. I see exactly what they're doing, and we know this because we've seen it be done before in the past with others. And how did that work out for them? So as you can see right here in this clip, this is actually the end of that SNL episode that I was talking about in the first part of the video, and it highlights Angel Reese. And if you notice, a couple of people behind her, those are a couple of her teammates that were there. So she wasn't the only one that was there. So again, this is more proof that they are highlighting and giving more praise to people who are losing. And when I tell you that I had actually saw something on X underneath this, or part of this video, it basically said in so many words, even when they lose, they still win in America, and that we have to basically be this picture perfect image of perfection or else. Basically, that's the roadmap that they have pretty much quote unquote laid out for us. But they are allowed to mess up and screw up, and they can still come out on top, as you can see right here. And y'all should see, again, they have gone carte blanche to give Caitlin Clark as much protection as humanely possible. Because again, if you say anything to critique her in some kind of way, here come these troll bot accounts, or maybe even some real accounts, to come out and say how wrong you are, especially if you're a black person critiquing her, or trying to say, oh, you're being racist. If you don't believe me, just go on X and just type in Caitlin Clark and see if you can find this particular video and people opposing it, and just look at the comments that are just in droves underneath it. Someone had actually left a post with the same video attached to it, and their comments got flooded with a bunch of people basically calling that person everything but a child of God. They've been linking Caitlin Clark and trying to compare her to some of the top black male basketball players. I've seen that even come up quite some time too. It's literally gotten to that point. So there it is. They didn't even have the decency to invite the actual winners of the championship there. Now, a lot of people was trying to say, well, they probably didn't invite them because, you know, South Carolina had their parade today. Well, guess what? SNL is taped on Saturday. Their parade, to my knowledge, was on Sunday. And then on top of that, when they do SNL, it's usually I think some of it is live and some of it may not be live. I'm not entirely sure how SNL is ran, but I'm sure if there was a thing, if they needed to pre-record something for, you know, an earlier time, they could have easily came in, recorded that, and if they had to leave, then go ahead. If they couldn't come, did they even extend them the invitation is another question, which I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't. But again, it shows you again what I said in the first part of the video, how the losers are getting more shine yet again, opposed to the actual winners. And again, when you look at the optics, South Carolina is a majority black team. Iowa is a majority white team, just like they did with LSU last year. But again, they have to keep trying to pump the machine behind Caitlin Clark. And no one can tell me any different that that's exactly what it is that they're doing. I don't know if I'm going to get trolled under this video or not, but I really could care less. You can't change my mind or sway me to think any other way. it is what it is. And I see with my own two eyes what's really going on. But like I said in the first part of this video before y'all saw this clip, if she does not deliver when she goes pro, she will be considered a bust. And then what are they going to say then? They're probably going to still make all kinds of excuses for her. I'm just waiting for the other shoe to drop. I was listening to a Moment of Truth entry that Professor Black Truth did recently on Caitlin Clark, and he spoke about this. Now, you can't tell me there's not a media machine behind her after this part right here. You cannot deny it. So on draft night, it says Caitlin Clark meets fashion history in Prada at the 2024 WA draft. And I'm sitting here saying to myself, oh God, what are they hyping up now? And it's of course her outfit that she decided to wear. They have now listed Caitlin Clark as the first basketball athlete, male or female, to wear Prada during a draft night. And I'm sitting here like, okay, who cares? We didn't come here to talk about fashion. We came to talk about who's getting drafted to whichever teams. But see what I mean when I tell you they are putting a machine behind her, and they're doing it right now, right before our eyes, as you can see. If no one else can see it the way I see it, or many others with a solid mind do, then I don't know what to tell you. And again, these so-called basketball fans, remember a couple years ago, and not even probably even that long, many of them weren't even checking for women's sports. But now, because of this rivalry that they have decided to create when it comes to Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese, now they are all back into it, and specifically, especially with her. And we know why. You would have to be a fool to deny that.